Hello, kumusta? Good day, magandang araw sa inyo lahat. This is Roel V, Embracing Nifty, and I would like to welcome you to statistics class. For today is hypothesis testing, particularly on how we are going to state null and alternative hypothesis. Paano natin state? Paano natin isusulat yung null and alternative hypothesis? So what is hypothesis? So when we try to define hypothesis, it is a statement about one or more populations. It is usually concerned with the parameters of the population. Example, the University Communication Technology Administrator may want to test the hypothesis that the average length of time a student using a virtual learning environment up is 5 hours in a day. They are hypotheses which are stated in a way that they may be evaluated by an appropriate statistical techniques. Say example natin dito, yung University Communication Technology Administrator. Gusto niya malaman, meron siyang hypothesis na gusto niya malaman kung yung average ba nung time na ginugugol nung estudyante sa paggamit nung VLE or yung Moodle is 5 hours in a day. So, yun yung kanyang hypothesis. Pwedeng 5 hours on average, pwedeng more than that, or pwedeng less than that. So, yun yung ating mga possible na magiging statements for our null and alternative hypothesis later. So, with that, kung meron na tayong hypothesis, we are now ready to use hypothesis testing to verify kung gusto nating matest yung ating hypothesis through hypothesis testing. So this hypothesis testing is defined by Bevans 2020, and it's a formal procedure for investigating our ideas about the world using statistics. It is most often used by scientists to test specific predictions called hypotheses that arise from theories. For this time, hindi lang scientist, pwede natin gawin yun. O meron tayong mga hypothesis, pwede natin ititest yun as long as gagamitan siya ng appropriate statistical test and we have enough data to test that hypothesis. And we have also two types of hypothesis. Meron tayong tinatawag na null hypothesis denoted by H0 or HO, and on the other side, meron tayong tinatawag din na alternative hypothesis denoted by HA, or some books uses H sub 1. So what is this HO and HA, or H sub 0, H sub A? So for null hypothesis, H sub 0, it is the hypothesis to be tested. Ito yung tinitest natin, si HO. Si alternative hypothesis naman, HA, it is the statement of what we believe is true if our sample data cause us to reject the null hypothesis. So kung ni-reject natin si null, so tatanggapin natin si alternative hypothesis. Kumbaga parang meron tayong backup. So kung hindi pwede si null, then meron tayong magagamit na isa pa, si alternative hypothesis. That is why meron tayong dalawa na types ng hypothesis. So kung hindi pwede yung yes na sagot, so magiging no. Kung hindi naman pwede yung no, then we'll say yes. So to dig more on this null and alternative hypothesis, we'll be using the following symbols. Meron tayong tinatawag na equal. For null, we can also use less than or equal, as well as greater than or equal. As for alternative hypothesis naman, pwede nating gamitin yung not equal, pwedeng greater than, pwedeng less than. So this null hypothesis, it is a statement about the population that either is believed to be true or is used to put forth an argument unless it can be shown to be incorrect beyond a reasonable doubt. However, yung alternative hypothesis, it is a claim that the population that is contradictory to our null hypothesis and what we conclude when we reject the null hypothesis. So for example, meron tayong group A and group B. For null hypothesis, sinasabi that si group A is equal to group B. Equal sila, wala silang pagkakaiba. While si alternative hypothesis naman, sinasabi niya, no, there is a difference between the two. That is why A is not equal to B. And with that, pwede natin gamitin, possibly, if they are not equal, pwedeng si A greater than B or pwedeng si B is greater than A. There are 5 main steps in hypothesis testing. The first one, kailangan nating state yung ating research hypothesis into null and alternative hypothesis. Then the next one is to collect data in a way designed to test the hypothesis. And number 3, perform an appropriate statistical test. While number 4 is to decide whether the null hypothesis is rejected or supported. And number 5, present the findings in your results and discussion section. But this time, balikan natin sa 5 main steps in hypothesis testing. Ang gagawin natin today is to know how to state your research hypothesis into null and alternative hypothesis. How to state your hypothesis. So, para mas madali nating maintindihan at para mas madali nating gawin kung paano natin state yung ating hypothesis, maybe we could try some examples. So, let's look to our first example. A travel agency claims that people from Davao and Cagayan de Oro are equally likely to have taken a vacation in Boracay. What is the null and alternative hypothesis for this statement? So take note of that claim. Sinasabi nung travel agency, they're claiming that the people from Davao and Cagayan de Oro are equally likely to have taken a vacation in Boracay. So there's a hint in there, equally likely to have taken a vacation in Boracay. So how are we going to state the null and alternative hypothesis out of that? Here it is. For null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis, so take note first that in this case, we'll be utilizing this symbol. Nakita nyo? Ang tawag dito is mu, Greek letter mu, which symbolizes average. Characteristic ito ng ating population because in hypothesis testing, we are concerned with the characteristic of population. That is why we are using the symbol mu for it average. For HO, we have mu under Davao group is equal to mu or the average under CDO group. So how we're going to state that into in a sentence, we have on the average, people of Davao and Cagayan de Oro are equally likely to have taken vacation in Boracay. So, we used the equal sign there. For alternative hypothesis naman, we have HA, we have mu of the Davao group is not equal to the mu of the CDO group. So, take note of the difference between the two symbols equal, not equal, between the null and alternative hypothesis. So how are we going to state in a sentence our alternative hypothesis? So here it is. On the average, people of Davao and Cagayan de Oro are not equally likely to have taken vacation in Boracay. Take note of that word not as compared to our null. Now we claim that they are equally likely to have taken vacation in Boracay. Okay, next one is we have a car manufacturer advertises that a new car averages 39 miles per gallon of gasoline. What alternative hypothesis would you use if you think this statistic is too high? So take note na yung car manufacturer meron siyang advertisement na yung bagong car nila, ang average nung mileage niya is 39 miles per gallon. So, and kung titingnan natin on the second statement, if you think this statistic is too high, so what do you think? Kung masyadong mataas na yung 39, so paano natin state yung ating alternative hypothesis? So let's take a look at this. For null hypothesis, of course, we have mu, which is equal to 39 miles per gallon. The average mileage of a new car is 39 miles per gallon of gasoline because that is the claim of the car manufacturer. So, ititest natin yan. If that average, which is equal to 39 miles per gallon, is really true compared to our alternative hypothesis that if you think that 39 is too high, so maybe we can state our alternative hypothesis in such a way that the average is mas mababa kaysa 39. Okay? So how we're going to state that into a sentence, the average mileage of a new car is less than 39 miles per gallon of gasoline. Mas mababa kaysa 39. Kung sinabi ni car manufacturer na 39 miles ang average nung kanilang bagong car, at sa tingin mo mataas yung 39, so ang ating alternative, mas mababa kaysa 39. Ang average niyan. We believe. Okay. How about this new? Next problem. We have a study, or a study claims that adults watch television an average of 1.8 hours per day. So what alternative hypothesis would you use if you think this figure is too low? So dito sinasabi naman yung adults daw, ang average na panunood nila sa television is 1.8 hours per day. Now you think that if that 1.8 hours per day is too low, mababa, kasi madalas yung mga kasama mo sa bahay na adults nanonood ng TV, inaabot ng 3, 4, 5 oras sa isang araw. So how will you state your alternative hypothesis? Here it is. Null hypothesis, HO. So we have mu, which is equal to 1.8 hours per day. The average time for watching television of an adult is 1.8 hours a day. Then yung claim ng study. So if you think that claim is too low, so maybe we can state the alternative hypothesis, or possibly this alternative hypothesis is stated as follows. So we have HA, where mu should be greater than 1.8 hours per day. And statement, the average time for watching television of an adult is more than 1.8 hours a day, because the reason with that, why stating or why using greater than and why stating more than 1.8 hours a day, because you believe that 1.8 is too low for an average of watching television among adults. And now it's your turn. So take the null, or state null and alternative hypothesis of the following. So take a look at the following statements or the situations. The first one, a company claims that only 1 out of every 200 computers it sells has a mechanical malfunction. So what alternative hypothesis would you use if you think this statistic is too low? There are hints there. So take a look at that statistic is too low, which is 1 out of every 200 computers. Then the next one, for number 2, we have a health study states that Filipino adults consume an average of 3,300 calories per day. What alternative hypothesis would you use if you think that this statistic is incorrect? How about this one? An investment company claims that its clients make an average of 8% return on investment every year. What alternative hypothesis would you use if you think this figure is too high? Try to state that null and alternative hypothesis of that three statements as your exercises. So this ends my short video. Thank you and see you on the next video.